In the wake of America's withdrawal from Afghanistan, China's foreign affairs spokesperson Hua Chunying had this to say: "Chinese democracy is a people's democracy, while the U.S. is a money democracy. The Chinese enjoy a whole process democracy, while Americans enjoy ballot box democracy every 4 years. The point being that there are many types of democracy, and what the CCP calls Chinese democracy is somehow more appropriate for China's cultural and political model than liberal alternatives. It's not unreasonable to suggest that democracy can mean different things to different people. In China, the word tends to be understood as describing a government that is responsive to its people's needs, rather than describing the existence of mechanisms of accountability, such as elections. Yet many Chinese people in modern history have been immensely attracted to aspects of liberal democracy, such as collective self-government and individual freedom. This is expressed powerfully in the 1989 Tiananmen Square protest. Bruce Dixon of George Washington University has pointed out that many Chinese people recognize, in light of the tragic outcome of the 1989 protest, that pushing for democracy is dangerous and unlikely to succeed. Historically, most Western political thinkers have assumed that Chinese political thinkers see democracy and liberal rights as inconsistent with the Confucian tradition of benevolent authoritarianism. However, many of the 11 constitutions that China has adopted since 1908, including the current constitution adopted in 1982, have included individual civil rights such as freedom of speech, assembly, publication, and even mechanisms of democracy itself, like self-government, popular sovereignty, elections, and recall elections. This suggests that such ideals are at least hoped for and aspired to by the drafters of said constitutions, or that the people would find such promises appealing. Furthermore, the Chinese word for democracy, minju, can have two meanings: rule by the people or rulers of the people. Thus, as Bruce Dixon has explained, most people in mainland China define increased democracy not as an increase in the number of democratic mechanisms, but as improved governance, a growing economy, and a better way of life. In other words, they focus on the leader's actions more than how they are elected. This paternalistic approach to democracy has its roots in the Confucian concept of renben, or the belief that the government has an obligation to act in the best interests of the people. In light of the expansion of freedoms and improved standard of living since the Maoist period, many in China view the country as becoming increasingly democratic. It's important to understand this so we don't jump the gun as we see the anti-zero COVID policy protests unfold in China. It's highly unlikely that the Chinese people will push for a structured form of democracy like we see in the West, nor is it likely that they will have the capability to force Xi Jinping from office. However, how we see Xi respond to these protests will let us know just how benevolent the government really is.